Every land holds a memory. Some memories are hidden beneath the surface, while others survive quietly, passed down through stories, names, and landscapes. The story I'm about to tell belongs to a corner of Tuscany that is still, in many ways, undiscovered. A land beloved by travelers, yet one that reveals itself slowly, as if protected by time. Here, the landscape has been shaped for centuries by human hands that learned how to place each stone by following the curves of the hills. A place where history doesn't sit quietly in museums. It rises from the ground itself, from the age of the Etruscans all the way to us. The Italian writer and jurist Piero Calamandrei once said, "Every hill has a face, like a living person." He was describing this land not as a frozen postcard, but as something deeper, something alive, with the memory of everything that came before. That's why this story begins deep in the past. In some places, history is all around us. The Valdichiana Senese in southern Tuscany is one such place. A landscape of rolling hills, thermal springs, and ancient roads. Here, ruins and stories continue to emerge. Not only from the soil, but from the collective memory of the people who live here. Like the memory of a river that no longer exists, or rather, a river that disappeared, but never truly vanished. Its name was Clanis. I am John Aquilecchia, and this is Clanis, a series by Cora Media in collaboration with Valdichiana Living. The first known reference to the Clanis comes from a small bronze statue now held in Paris, hidden among 22 million documents inside the National Library. The statue is that of a strong, youthful athlete, and if you look closely at his leg, there's an inscription, Mi Claninsil, I belong to Clanis. It was discovered in the mid-19th century, but dates back to the 5th century BCE, more than 2,400 years ago. At this time, the Etruscan civilization was flourishing in central Italy, before the rise of Rome. This figure carries a message across time. For the Etruscans, Clanis was not just a river. Its water was sacred. It brought life, shaped the land, and brought communities together. The river itself was worshipped as a god. Following the path of the Clanis takes us back to the origins of civilization in this part of Italy, and to a city that used to be a superpower, Chiusi. Today, a small and peaceful Tuscan town in the province of Siena and home to the National Etruscan Museum. Basically, a time machine for anyone interested in the Etruscans. Back in the day, Chiusi was a titan of the Dodecapolis, the powerful league of 12 Etruscan city-states. In those ancient times, Chiusi was a center of trade, religion, and art, ruling over a vast territory that extended across what are now 3 different regions: Tuscany, Umbria, and Lazio. It was a strategic hub, a crossroads between northern and southern Italy, and between the east and west coasts. Long before Rome's dominion, this territory was already settled, with its own rich culture and complex political system. Around 1300 BCE, small communities began settling on defensible hills. Over time, these villages formed alliances. Then, around 1000 BCE, something extraordinary happened. The land was briefly abandoned and then reoccupied in a new manner. Smaller settlements merged into large proto-urban centers. This is when urban life began. One of the greatest transformations in the history of the Mediterranean. Chiusi was one of them. Why here? Because of the water. For centuries, this river was the great architect of the Valdichiana Senese, a valley where the very name traces back to the Clanis, which carved the plains, nourished the fields, and drew roads and borders as well as beliefs. The geography here is hardly uniform. Flat plains give way to rolling hills lined with olive trees and vineyards, agricultural traditions that also date back to the Etruscans. Dominating the horizon are Monte Amiata, an ancient extinct volcano, and Monte Cetona, which was first settled back in prehistory. And for the Etruscans, this landscape was sacred.
Noi sappiamo che per gli Etruschi il paesaggio è sacro.
Mountains were sacred, hills were sacred, springs were sacred, and above all, the river was sacred.
You just heard Jacopo Tapolli, an archaeologist and professor of Etruscology at the University for Foreigners of Siena. Mountains, hills, springs, rivers. Every natural form carried meaning. At the center of it all, once again, was the Clannis River, flowing in the opposite direction of the canals we see today. Indeed, at a certain point, the river became a problem. Its waters caused repeated flooding, threatening Roman territories downstream. Engineering projects attempted to control it. Finally, the river was diverted, covered, and absorbed into an artificial canal system. It was channeled into the Canale Maestro della Chiana and made to flow north. The Clanis didn't dry up, it was buried. Ironically, this would be a gift for future archaeologists. Instead of destroying what lay beneath, the river preserved it like a time capsule. Even today, the memory of the river survives in the names of places. 14 different locations in the Valdichiana still reference ancient ports. Here, water never disappears. It simply changes form, and sometimes it gives something back. In the Valdichiana Senese, water doesn't just flow, it rises. Thermal springs have defined this territory for millennia. Montepulciano, Chianciano, and San Casciano dei Bagni are places where hot mineral-rich waters were believed to heal the body and protect the soul. And even today, they're still seen that way. Sometimes, they also become a doorway to the past. It is precisely from one of these springs that a discovery emerged, not lost, but waiting. In San Casciano dei Bagni, a small town on the southern edge of Tuscany, near the borders of Umbria and Lazio, archaeologists led by Jacopo Tapolli, the professor we just heard from, unearthed a remarkably preserved Etruscan Roman sanctuary beneath layers of warm mud. For centuries, the local elders, the nonni of the village, whispered stories about Il Bagno Grande, saying something ancient lay beneath the thermal waters. Stories passed from mouth to mouth, from grandparents to grandchildren, from memory to memory. In 2019, archaeologists decided to heed these tales, and so they began to dig. After a year of finding nothing but dirt, they hit something. Deep in the warm, protective mud, they found a sanctuary, frozen in time. And inside, 24 bronze statues, perfectly preserved by the very mud that had hidden them. They were deliberately buried, not to erase the past, but to protect it. For centuries, Etruscans and Romans worshipped here together. Inscriptions appear in both languages, different peoples, different gods, same waters. It proves that even as Rome was conquering Italy, here, at these sacred springs, the two cultures were laying down their arms and praying together. This wasn't conquest, it was coexistence. The sanctuary remained active for centuries, a place of healing, hospitality, and continuity. Only at the end of the Roman Empire was it sealed forever, gently lowered into the earth. The old Etruscan statues were not destroyed. They were buried, carefully, ritually, protected by a sacred act called fulgur conditum. A bronze lightning bolt was placed with them, a sign that this burial was for the purpose of preservation rather than erasure. The past was not cancelled, but honored. What historians call Romanization looks different here. It appears more gentle, more human, a gradual transformation and a story of integration. San Casciano dei Bagni is not an exception. It is only one voice in this story. Across the Valdichiana Senese, discoveries continue to speak and to reshape our understanding of the Etruscans. Just a few miles from San Casciano dei Bagni, in Sarteano, the ground hides a dark but vivid secret. Imagine stepping down to a tomb carved directly into the travertine rock of the Pianace necropolis. In 2003, when archaeologists first cracked the seal of this 4th century BCE tomb, they didn't just find a grave. They found a burial site that changed our understanding of the Etruscan afterlife. The Tomba della Quadriga Infernale, or Tomb of the Infernal Chariot. As you enter, on the left wall, a demon named Charun, the guide to the underworld, rides a chariot, the Quadriga, pulled by monstrous figures from the beyond. The next scene reveals a banquet, not one of this world, but a feast in the realm of the unknown. Further on, you encounter a menacing hydra with serpent heads. Every image is a haunting reminder that for the Etruscans, the border between the living and the dead was a very real, very physical space. Today, the tomb lives on through a faithful reconstruction inside the palace that now hosts the Civic Archaeological Museum in Sarteano. If Sarteano shows us the monsters of the nether realms, nearby Chianciano Terme shows us its humanity. The local museum houses a collection that feels almost personal, the canopic jars. These are not just vases, they are stylized human figures designed to hold the ashes of the departed. Looking at them, you can almost see the faces of the people who walked these hills 2,500 years ago. Following the recent excavation of the Tolle necropolis, where over 1,000 burials were found, we can now trace the entire evolution of this civilization, from its rise in the 8th century BCE to its final days. Not far away, in Sinalunga, a village that once served as a satellite to the great power of Chiusi, lies another necropolis, San Giustino. Here, archaeologists uncovered a massive cross-shaped tomb with a central vestibule and 3 burial chambers. Even though grave robbers broke in centuries ago, they left behind fragments of pottery and black figure vases imported all the way from Greece and Africa. For us, these are more than just objects. They are proof of a wealthy, interconnected society that thrived right here in the Tuscan hills. The Clanis may no longer be visible on a modern map, but its world is still here, waiting to be uncovered. Archaeologists like Jacopo Tabolli believe we are only scratching the surface. What makes this region extraordinary isn't just the discoveries themselves, it's the collaboration behind them. Local communities have worked together to protect and study a shared heritage. The Valdichiana Senese is not a museum. It is a varied, restless land that calls to us to keep digging, to keep listening, and to never stop remembering. Because it is a living multicultural landscape shaped by layers: sacred, agricultural, political. Sometimes history disappears. Sometimes it hides itself. But here, it always leaves a trace. This is where our journey along the Clanis begins. Clanis is a Cora Media podcast produced in partnership with Valdichiana Living and the Valdichiana Senese Tourism Board. Written and adapted by Anita Franzon and narrated by me, John Aquilecchia. The series editor is Graziano Nani. The sound designer is Aurora Ricci. The project manager is Marco Paltrinieri. The producer is Sabrina Patilli. The head of post-production is Matteo Scelsa. The studio engineer is Christian Galdini.